Welcome to Z Survival, your home for gripping zombie survival stories. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, as it helps us grow and bring even more chilling survival stories to you. Now, let's step into the outbreak. The sirens started sometime after sunset. At first, they were faint, background noise, the kind of thing you'd expect in the city. But by the time we were down to our last slices of pizza and the beer was running warm, the sound had thickened into a steady wail. Ambulances, police, fire trucks, all screaming at once, echoing off the buildings until the whole night felt like it was coming apart. Ethan sat on the couch, scrolling his phone, brow furrowed. His glasses reflected the pale glow of the screen. Marcus paced the living room, restless, his baseball cap pulled low, the bat he'd brought for late-night street ball tapping nervously against his palm. "You hear that?" Marcus muttered, not for the first time. "That ain't normal. That's not a couple car crashes. That's—" He trailed off, looking at me, waiting for me to finish the thought. I didn't. I just shifted on the arm of the couch, uneasy. Ethan exhales sharply, the kind of breath that carried bad news before the words even came. "They just pushed another emergency alert." Marcus stopped pacing. "Well, what's it say?" I leaned over Ethan's shoulder. The phone screen was bright in the dim room, bold text stamped across it. "National Emergency Alert. Shelter indoors. Avoid crowds. Violent outbreak in progress." A cold knot tightened in my stomach. Marcus barked a laugh, but it didn't sound real. Violent outbreak? What the hell does that even mean? Some new drug? People flipping out? Outside, a scream cut through the wail of sirens. A raw, tearing sound, then another and another. I crossed to the window, hesitated, then pulled the blinds back just enough to look. The street below was chaos. People ran in every direction, some screaming, some stumbling like they were drunk. Two men fought in the middle of the crosswalk, grappling with animal ferocity. And then one of them, God help me, sank his teeth into the other's throat. The woman next door came running with her daughter, dragging her toward a parked car. She didn't make it. A figure leapt onto her back and brought her down in a heap. The child screamed until someone else, something else, pulled her into the shadows. I slammed the blinds shut, heart racing. My throat was dry when I managed to say, "They're eating each other." Ethan dropped his phone like it burned him. Marcus stared, face pale under the brim of his cap. "No. Nah, no way. That was when the lights went out. The TV blinked to black, the refrigerator hummed once and died, and suddenly the apartment was swallowed by silence except for the distant screams and sirens. We stood there, frozen. Then, 3 hard knocks rattled the door. All of us jumped. The knocks came again, slower, heavier. Each one made the hinges groan. "Don't open it," Ethan whispered. Marcus gripped his bat, knuckles white. What if it's somebody who needs help? The third knock made the whole frame shudder. "Does that sound like someone who needs help to you?" I hissed. The pounding grew louder, harder, fists slamming in a steady rhythm. The couch rattled against the wall. Dust rained down from the frame. "Barricade it," Ethan said. His voice trembled, but he was already moving, dragging the coffee table. We shoved furniture against the door, stacking anything we could. Marcus planted himself in front with the bat raised, like he meant to swing for his life. The pounding stopped. For a moment, the only sound was our ragged breathing. Then, from somewhere outside, a woman's scream tore through the night. It rose high and sharp before cutting off in a choking gurgle. My stomach turned. The TV screen flickered one last time, a final gasp of power. A news anchor appeared, tie askew, hair matted with sweat. His voice cracked, but his words came clear enough. spreading nationwide. The infected are violent. They attack indiscriminately. If bitten, you must isolate immediately. Repeat. Avoid bites at all costs. The screen went dark for good. Silence. Nobody said the word, but we were all thinking it. Zombies. The first impact shattered the doorframe. Wood splintered. The couch scraped backward. A pale arm shoved through the gap, fingers twitching, nails black. Marcus roared and swung. The bat connected with a sickening crack. The hand jerked back but didn't fall. The second impact blew the frame wide open. The door came off its hinges. The thing that spilled through used to be a man. His jaw dangled, broken and bloody, teeth snapping. His shirt was shredded, skin beneath it torn in long strips. His eyes rolled white but locked onto us with terrible hunger. Marcus swung again. The bat cracked against its skull. The creature staggered but didn't stop. "Move!" I shouted. We bolted for the stairwell, flashlight beam bouncing wildly in Ethan's shaking hand. The air reeked, mold, sweat, and that coppery stench of blood. Halfway down, we nearly tripped over a body slumped against the railing. The flashlight caught its face. Gray skin, lips torn, eyes dull. I thought it was dead until it twitched, groaning. Marcus swung hard and the groan cut short. We burst through the stairwell door into a side alley. Cold night air hit us like a slap. For one fragile second it was silent. Then a shape lunged from the shadows. I barely had time to shout before Marcus shoved it back, bat rising. The creature shrieked, flailing with clawed fingers. Blood sprayed the brick wall as Marcus struck again and again until it collapsed in a twitching heap. He looked down at his arm, chest heaving. Blood dripped from a long scrape. "Shit," he gasped. Ethan grabbed his sleeve, yanking it up. Did it bite you?" Marcus shook his head, eyes wide. "No teeth. Just a scrape, I swear." I wanted to believe him. I needed to. We stood there, panting, backs to the wall, trying to catch our breath. The city stretched beyond the alley, flames glowing against the sky, sirens wailing, screams echoing in every direction. There was no going back. We had to move forward. The alley spat us out onto a side street, and for a moment it was like stepping into another world. Fires burned in dumpsters and cars. People, living people, were running, screaming, vanishing into shadows. The sound of glass shattering carried from every direction. We stayed low, moving quick. The pavement was slick with blood in places, smeared footprints leading nowhere. My stomach churned with each step. At the corner, we froze. A dozen of them stood in the intersection, swaying in the light of a burning sedan. Their skin hung loose, jaws snapping aimlessly, heads twitching like broken marionettes. One of them sniffed the air. Its head jerked up. White eyes rolled toward us. "Back," Ethan whispered, but it was too late. The thing shrieked, a horrible wet sound, and the others joined in. They surged forward, a wave of gray flesh and teeth. "Run!" Marcus shouted. We sprinted. Our shoes slapped the pavement, lungs burning. The gas station loomed ahead, fluorescent lights flickering weakly inside. We dove through the doors, slammed them shut behind us. The air inside was thick with gasoline and rot. Shelves lay toppled. Behind the counter, a clerk twitched, his torso torn wide open. His mouth opened, a low moan bubbling out. Before I could move, Ethan stepped forward, wrench in hand. He swung once. The moan stopped. He stood there shaking, staring at the body. "Don't look," he said without turning. But I already had. The windows rattled. Pale faces pressed against the glass, mouths gnashing, hands leaving bloody streaks. The sound grew into a pounding rhythm. "They're gonna break through," I said. Marcus's eyes darted around the store. "We need a way out." "Or a distraction," Ethan said, voice low but steady. Outside, cars sat abandoned at the pumps. Marcus grinned, a wild, desperate grin, and smashed the butt of his bat into a windshield. The alarm blared into the night. The dead turned. One by one, their milky eyes left us and locked onto the screaming car. They drifted toward it, moaning. "Now!" Ethan hissed. We slipped through the back, hearts hammering. The alley reeked of trash and fuel. For a heartbeat, it was silent except for our breathing. Then we heard it. A soft growl. A stray dog stood at the far end, ribs sharp against its mangy fur. Its teeth bared, hackles raised. It wasn't looking at us. Something moved in the shadows behind it. The dog barked once. Then a pale hand shot out, yanked it into the dark. Its yelp was sharp, cut off with a sickening crunch. We didn't wait to see what came next. We bolted. The streets grew worse the farther we went. Smoke choked the air. Fires chewed through buildings. Shadows stumbled everywhere, some screaming for help, some already gone. At one intersection, we found a police cruiser flipped onto its roof, lights still flashing. A cop leaned against the hood, throat ripped open, eyes staring at nothing. His service pistol rested in his limp hand. Marcus knelt, pried it from the dead man's grip. He checked the chamber. 3 bullets. His voice was flat. Better than none. We moved on. The city groaned and burned around us. Once, we heard gunfire, sharp and fast, then silence. Once, a woman's voice begged from a second-story window. By the time we looked up, hands were dragging her back into the dark. We didn't stop. Couldn't stop. Finally, we stumbled onto a corner store with its windows boarded and its door cracked open. Ethan hesitated, listening. Nothing inside but silence. We pushed in. The air smelled of dust and stale food. Shelves stood half empty, ransacked. A lantern sat abandoned on the counter, batteries drained. For the first time that night, we could breathe. Marcus slumped against a shelf, head in his hands. His bat clattered to the floor. "We're not making it," he muttered. "You saw how many there are." "We're screwed," Ethan rounded on him. His voice cracked, but his eyes were blazing. "We have to make it. If we give up now, we're already dead." They glared at each other, both shaking, both desperate. I sat down hard on the floor, phone clutched in my hand. For some reason, I hit record. The red light blinked back at me. My voice came out hoarse. "If we don't make it through the night," I whispered, "at least someone will know what happened here." The store was quiet, too quiet. Ethan moved from window to window, checking every board, pressing his ear to the walls. Marcus sat slouched against the counter, muttering curses under his breath. I sat on the floor, knees pulled up, phone recording in my lap, the faint glow of the screen our only light. After a while, Ethan crouched beside me. "You okay?" "No," I said, because lying felt useless now. He nodded once, not asking more. Marcus groaned and rubbed his face. "We should have never left the apartment. We had food, we had walls. We had a busted door and a horde trying to eat us alive," Ethan snapped. "You think that would have lasted?" "At least we'd be dead faster," Marcus shot back. This is dragging it out." I closed my eyes, listening to them argue. I wanted to tell them to shut up, to save their energy, but the words wouldn't come. My chest was too tight. The silence that followed was worse. I must have dozed off because the next thing I knew, Ethan was shaking me awake. His face was pale, lips drawn tight. "They're outside." The sound came faint at first, moans, low and restless. Then the first thud against the wall. Another. Then another. Marcus was on his feet in an instant, bat in hand, pistol tucked into his waistband. "Here we go!" The pounding grew louder. The boards shuddered. Dust rained from the ceiling. "They tracked us," Ethan whispered. They never stop. The first board cracked, nails squealing as they were pulled loose. Fingers, gray and twitching, curled through the gap. "Back door!" Ethan hissed. We scrambled, shoving shelves down to slow them. The glass shattered in front, boards tearing away under relentless hands. Moans filled the room, hungry and endless. Marcus fired once. The gunshot was deafening, skull bursting against the wall. The others surged harder, drawn by the noise. "Move!" I screamed. We shoved through the back exit into the alley. The cold air slapped my face. For a second I thought we'd made it. Then the moans followed. They were everywhere. Shapes spilled from shadows, staggering, clawing, closing in from both ends of the alley. Marcus swore, swinging wildly, bat cracking bone. Ethan grabbed a trash can lid, shoving it between himself and a snarling face. I swung a broken plank I didn't even remember picking up. Every second stretched forever. Clawing hands, teeth snapping inches from my neck. Screams, ours, theirs, I couldn't tell anymore. We broke through by sheer luck, shoving one down, ducking under another. The street beyond was wider, emptier, though the moans carried close behind. We ran until our lungs burned. By the time we stumbled into the shell of an abandoned laundromat, I could barely stand. The machines were silent hulks, windows shattered, the floor littered with broken glass. We collapsed in the dark, gasping, too drained to speak. Minutes dragged by before Marcus finally said, "I killed one of them." Point blank, smashed its head in, and it still twitched. Ethan didn't look at him. Then we hit harder. Marcus laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "You think we're making it to morning?" I wanted to tell him yes. I wanted to believe it. But the truth clung to me like the stink of blood. Every step we took, every place we hid, the dead followed. There was no safety. Not anymore. The laundromat reeked of mold and blood. We sat in silence, every drip of water and shift of wind outside making my skin crawl. At some point, Ethan stood and started pacing, hands shoved into his hair. "We can't keep doing this." Hiding, running, waiting for them to catch us. "What do you suggest?" Marcus muttered. His eyes were half-lidded, exhaustion dragging him down. "March into the horde and ask politely for safe passage?" "Higher ground," Ethan said. "We need to get above them. They move slow. They stumble. Stairs, rooftops. They can't swarm as easy up there." "And if they corner us?" Marcus snapped. "Then we fight." The two of them stared at each other, the weight of it thick between them. Finally I spoke, voice rough from the smoke and screaming. "Ethan's right. We can't stay ground level. We'll just get boxed in again. We find a building, climb as high as we can, wait for morning." Marcus looked at me, jaw tight. Then he let out a long breath. "Fine. But if this goes south, it's on you." We moved before doubt could settle in. The city felt emptier now, though maybe that was worse. Fewer people, more of them. We crept block by block, ducking behind wrecked cars and toppled trash bins, keeping low. Once, a cluster of them stumbled across the street ahead, heads lolling, jaws snapping at the air. We waited in a doorway, hearts pounding, until they passed. Another block, another, and then salvation. A tall office building loomed, half its windows shattered, but its doors still intact. Above, a rooftop stretched into the night, dark against the glow of fires. "That's it," Ethan whispered. The glass doors gave way with a single shove. The lobby smelled of smoke and death, but it was clear. We slipped inside, moving fast. Stairwell was wide, concrete echoing under our feet as we climbed. Each step felt heavier. My legs screamed, my chest burned, but the thought of stopping kept me moving. Halfway up we heard it, the echo of moans rising behind us. "They're coming," Marcus hissed. "Keep moving," Ethan urged. We climbed faster, every muscle straining. The moans grew louder, closer, bouncing off the walls. By the time we reached the top floor, I thought my heart might burst. The door to the roof was chained, padlocked tight. Marcus swung his bat. Sparks flew, lock dented, again. Below, the stairwell thundered with footsteps. Not ours. "Faster!" Ethan shouted. One final swing and the lock snapped. The door burst open and cold air washed over us. We spilled onto the roof. The city stretched in every direction, burning and broken. Fires lit the horizon. Sirens wailed far off. And in the distance, faint but unmistakable, the chop of helicopter blades. "There!" Ethan pointed, eyes wide. A spotlight cut across the smoke, searching. Hope flared like fire in my chest. Then the stairwell door banged open. They poured out, shrieking, jaws snapping, arms flailing. Marcus roared and charged, bat swinging in wide arcs. Skulls cracked, teeth shattered. Blood sprayed across the roof. Ethan grabbed a broken pipe from the ground, jabbing, slamming, screaming with each strike. I pulled Marcus's pistol, the weight heavy in my hands. 3 bullets. The first dropped one where it stood. The second tore through a shoulder, spinning it sideways. The third missed entirely, sailing into the dark. The gun clicked empty. They kept coming. Marcus stumbled, dragged down by clawing hands. He swung, smashed one's face in, but another clamped onto his leg. He howled, blood spraying. Ethan grabbed him, yanking him free, the two of them stumbling back toward me. We stood shoulder to shoulder, backs to the ledge, the city burning behind us. The dead pressed closer, a wall of hunger and rot. "This is it," Marcus panted, bat slick with gore. "Either they fall, or we do." Ethan's jaw clenched. "Then let's make it hurt." We fought until our arms shook, until every breath came ragged, until the roof was slick with blood, ours and theirs. The helicopters drew closer, lights sweeping, engines roaring. For a moment, I thought, maybe they'd see us. Maybe they'd come. I screamed into the night, waving, voice cracking, but the sound of the dead drowned me out. The lights swept past. The helicopters roared on. We were alone. Marcus fell first, dragged screaming into the horde. His bat clattered to the roof, slick with blood. His voice cut off in a wet choke. Ethan shoved me back, teeth bared in a final defiant snarl. "Go! Get over the ledge, climb!" I hesitated, frozen, as they swarmed him. His scream ripped through the night. I staggered back, hands slipping on blood, the ledge digging into my spine. My phone buzzed weakly in my pocket, battery dying. Without thinking, I pulled it out, hit record one last time. "If anyone finds this," I rasped. "We tried." I rasped. "We tried. We fought. We didn't quit. Please, don't let it end here." The moans grew louder, closer. I turned the camera to the city, flames clawing the sky. The first light of dawn touched the horizon, faint but real. And for just a second, despite the screams, despite the blood, despite the dead closing in, I let myself believe there might still be a tomorrow.